We're going to do the book of Daniel, chapter 7, and then chapter 8. Before we get started, we've already been through Matthew, Mark, and Luke about what Jesus said about his own coming, about what the question his own apostles, his own disciples asked him, what signs will be taking place when you come. There's nothing about a rapture in there. We haven't seen any. Jesus didn't even mention that. Jesus didn't even say, I'm going to come back to get the saints out. We know Paul talked about when you're in Christ, there is no bond or free. There is no male or female. There is no Jew or Greek or Gentile. We're all one in Christ. So it doesn't matter who, they say who he's talking. You got to know who he's talking to. He's talking to the saints of the end time, whether they're Jews or Gentiles, or regardless of what they are, as long as they believe. So there's not one book in the Bible that gives like a full description of the anti. It's spread out over a number of chapters and books in the 66, and even in some of the pseudepigrapha and apocryphal literature, Book of Enoch, stuff that was taken out. So we're going to get started here. But out of all the books that are in the canonized Bible, we get glimpses of the anti. It's spoken of more by Daniel the prophet, or the prophet Daniel. In the Old Testament, he speaks about it more than anyone else. Even he speaks about it more, or he speaks about him, and gives us a lot of clues. So we have to piece a lot of their dreams and visions and the things, that their prophecies together to get the full picture. So I don't want to do a lot of skipping around, because Lord willing, we'll get to the book of Revelation later. And in the New Testament, the Apostle John, he speaks about it more than anyone else in the New Testament. Most of his writings, all of his writings, from the Gospel of John to the epistles, to the book of Revelation, is also by the Apostle John. And he writes a lot about the anti, and you can get a full picture of what's going to be going on, and what this guy, who, if he's a guy, what he's going to be doing, what he's going to look like. And even from the two, you can piece together a physical description. There are slight hints. Some things that are going to shock you with this, so stay tuned. The book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Now, pause right here. Dreams are one way, all throughout Scripture, God communicates with his people. And you notice Daniel wrote the dream. So if anyone has a dream that sticks out, write the dream so you don't forget the details. The details are important. And Daniel couldn't figure it out. He kept praying, and finally God sent the angel. I'm telling the story, but he sent the angel to kind of tell him what it means. So, verse 2, Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from the other. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. Now pause right there. I believe these are nations. And I kind of got this idea from Irvin Baxter on who these are. This dream may be pretty similar, or maybe even like the same dream as the second, but there are different animals used, and the second is in the next chapter. But according to Irvin Baxter, the lion is Great Britain, symbol of the lion. The eagle's wings would be the U.S. America that broke away from the lion, and the bear would be Russia, and so on and so forth. Okay, so verse 3 again. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand up on the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Now I know this for a fact. Horns are always kings. There's almost never a time in a prophecy where the horn is not a king. You'll see that in Revelation with John's vision as well. Okay. And it had, so start at verse 7 again. And this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and it stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man. Now this is the first description of the anti. I also see I have in the margin over there, verse 24. I mean, of the same chapter is going to do some more things. And you notice it says, eyes like the eyes of a man. You see what I'm saying? It didn't say that. So it's a man, but it's a man. It may be a hybrid, or there may be another entity inside of it. Who knows? See, this is the mystery. This is part of the mystery. But it's definitely something other than a man, a full man. This is, so it's deceiving many because it looks like a man. It has, and I'm going to read that again, verse 8. I considered the horns, the kings, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down. Now I wonder what thrones are these. You see, somebody's getting evicted. These may be thrones in the heavenlies, or these may be some kings on earth. But it sounds like it may be in the heavenlies. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. Ancient of Days is God, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. That's like millions and billions of people just worshiping him and just ministering unto him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain. There go the beast. And his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. You know what that is. Verse 12. As concerning the rest of the beast, plural, they had their dominion taken away. So see, these may be some other kings on earth that are ruling, but they may have some other entities inside of them ruling, if you get what I'm saying. So, verse 12. As concerning the rest of the beast, plural, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man, that's Jesus, talking about Jesus in the Old Testament, the Son of Man. And you notice the Bible calls us the sons of God, and the Bible called Jesus the Son of Man. That's how he even referred to himself, the Son of Man. You're saying that he wanted to make us one with him, singularity with him, not singularity with man and beast or man and machine. Anyway, verse 13. And you see I have in the margin over here, Matthew 26 and 64. Okay. Verse 13. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, okay, here's the interpretation. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever. My question is, who are these saints? So if the rapture was already taking place and the Antichrist is here, who are the saints that's going to take the kingdom? Okay. Verse 18. I'll read it again. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom. The kingdom of God suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. Verse 20. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and mouth that spoke very great thing, whose look was more stout than his fellows. That's another clue. Now, stout is a word we're used to in the South, but if you're not familiar with it, stout means, this is always a physical description. 99.9% of the time, this is a physical description. Stout can mean taller. When it says he's more stout than his fellows, and this is the description of the anti. He could be taller than all the people around him. Or stout could also mean he could be thicker than all the people around him, like either muscular or heavy set, but it definitely just means bigger. So we don't know if it's tall, we don't know if it's up or out, but bigger. Okay, so let's start at the eyes. Let's just do whole. And you see in the margin here, I have Revelation 20 and 4. And then on this side, Revelation 13 and 7. So let's start at verse 20 again. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great thing, whose look was more stout than his fellows. So they let you know the one who had eyes like a man is also the one that's more stout than his fellows. Behold, the same horn made war with the saints. So the saints are still here for him to make war with. They ain't been raptured out, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, guys, people. Hello? They haven't been raptured out. The anti is making war with the saints. Okay. Verse 21. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Not only is he making war, man, he making headroom, man. He gaining ground, he getting territory, he whooping their butts, man. But see, they fighting back. You see, it's a spiritual fight, but then faith without works is dead. So some of them going to come up dead. Yeah. Some of them going to lose their life. We'll see it when we get the revelation, Lord willing. Okay. Verse 22. Until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints. It's just like court. See, he decided. The judgment went to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all the kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall rise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from all the first, and shall subdue 3 kings. Now that's the anti again. I'm saying he gonna be different from all the diverse. And he shall, now check this out though, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change times and laws. See, change. He's changing times, and he's changing laws. That's the anti. Verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and dividing of time. Some people try to say that's 2.5 years. Some say 3.5 years. You know, I just don't know, man. Times, and dividing of a time. To me, that's a mystery, but for a period of time. Verse 26. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and the dominion of the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Oh, a footnote for those of you who didn't know. You know, people always say you go to heaven. Actually, that's not true. We only go to heaven if we're martyred, and then we go to heaven when he catches us up for the wedding, but we come back. We rule on earth, and that's another video for another time. But his kingdom, and Jesus is going to sit on the throne of David. David's throne is on earth. It wasn't in heaven. So that's a whole nother subject that's going to take hours to go through. But you notice Daniel is saying on earth, and he's not the first nor the last. It's even in the New Testament. But that's why it's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. See, we were earth creatures. We're meant to be on earth, and God is going to be among us. And we'll see that in Revelation when we get there. Lord willing, I keep saying that. Okay. And I want to read verse 20 one more time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and the dominion of the greatness and the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. Amen. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much trouble me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. Okay, so we're going to do chapter 8 as well. In the 3rd year, chapter 8, verse 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of the king of Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me, Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan, in the palace, which is in the province of Elam. Now, Elam is basically, it was inhabited by Shemites, and it was like it would be located currently in Iran right now, and some of Iraq is where it was originally. It doesn't exist anymore, but that's where it would be. And I saw in a vision, and I saw in a vision, and I was by the river Ulai. Then I lifted up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will, and became great. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and he touched not the ground. Looked like he was flying at the goat. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. I'm flying at the ram, I'm sorry. And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. Bow! And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken. And for it came up, four notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven, and out of the one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceedingly great toward the south, toward the east, toward the pleasant land, and it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it came to cast down some of the host of the stars of the ground, and stamped upon them. Now, what that means is right here. Angels are also stars. Stars are also angels. That's interchangeable. Host of heaven is usually talking about either God is the host of heaven, or some of the archangels, some of the angels with authority that command other angels in like battle. You call that the host of heaven. And it says it cast down some of the host of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. So maybe the anti caused more of them to fall. Because in Genesis 6, a third of them left, and some more of them going to leave in the book of Revelation. So this is Daniel, the prophet, talking about some of them coming. We don't know which wave it is. The fallen angels came in waves, and are still coming, and will be coming until this thing is to heaven, till there's a new heaven and new earth. So verse 9 again. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. Now that's Jesus. And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And the host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression. And it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. You see, it keeps saying it. Practice and prospered. When I say practice, it's talking about practicing the craft, witchcraft, and prospered. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of the desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? And he said unto me, Unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. And it came to pass, when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as an appearance of a man. See, it says, as the appearance of a man. So it was an angel. 16. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. He's talking to Gabriel, one of the archangels. So he gave near where I stood. So he came near where I stood. And when he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, Understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end shall the vision be. At the time of the end shall be the vision. The time of the end shall be the vision. So this is for us, guys. Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. 19. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, for at the time appointed the end shall be. 20. The ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. See, that's Iran right now. Media and Persia. See, but this is talking about when the Persian Empire was like great, when it was a superpower way back. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. So you know who that is, right? I believe that's Alexander. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now, that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And they say that Alexander the Great, his kingdom was split, went to 4 of his generals. None of his kids got it. That's what the rumor says. That's what the historians say. Okay. Verse 22. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time of the kingdom, when the transgression are come to full, a king, okay, here's the anti, verse 23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. Okay, the understanding dark sentences stuff is basically you can understand prophecies, visions, curses. You understand the hidden thing. Okay, you can understand astrology and astronomy, and that's what that is, understanding the dark sentences. And his power shall be mighty, verse 24. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper, and practice, and destroy the mighty and the holy people. See, prosper and practicing witchcraft. And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. Now, his policy. So, let you know this is a king, a president, a politician, someone in authority. Not necessarily a religious figure. We'll talk about that religious figure, probably, Lord willing, later on. So he came to destroy the mighty and the holy people, verse 25. And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes. Now that's Jesus. But he shall be broken without hand. And the vision of the evening and the morning, which was told, is true. Wherefore shut up the vision, for it shall be for many days. And I, Daniel, fainted, and was sick certain days. Afterward I rose up, and did the king's business, and I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it. May the Lord have a blessing on the readers, hearers, and doers of the word.